Joining me for this conversation is Kevin Osido, the Director of County Governance Watch. Welcome to the show, Kevin. Now, the biggest story today has to do with that resolve by Team Tanga Tanga to go at it on their own. And on the Standard, we are told Ruto Palace Coup, the 173, and they're all lined up there. If you look at the top page of the Standard, we're told the 173 MPs defy party secretariat to attend a retreat organized by the Deputy President allies and vow to hold separate BBI rallies. Tuju, on the other hand, disowned the meeting, saying the resolutions made during said retreat are not binding. And there's more details on, page 6 of the Standard. But the Daily Nation is going with that also, still calling it a revolt as Ruto Group resolves to go at it alone, vying that it is the beginning of the end between the two leaders. More than 100 MPs who support the deputy president plot to bring Uhuru under pressure over BBI campaign. I wonder why it's a revolt, because they say the general sense of their rallies will be to be people-centric, to be about the people rather than the political elite. I mean, it feels like they're reading from the same script, because they all seem to want the BBI to work, just not at the same venue. What do you feel about this?
Trix, this is unfortunate because I think we have said it here and in several other platforms that for the deputy president to ascend to the presidency of this nation,
yes,
three major things he actually needs three main people, and that is God himself. He needs the current president.
Yes. He
needs the people of Kenya, because the people of Kenya are the ones who vote for him. And by history of this country, and if you have studied transition politics of Kenya, it is very clear that there are people who actually control who becomes who in this country, including who becomes the vice chancellor of the University of Nairobi. And so we have two vice chancellors for a premier institution of higher learning. Politics plays a major role in terms of how even our social beings are developed and nurtured. And God, of course, determines how we live our lives, and he is the alpha and the omega, so we really have no say around it. The efforts by all these people who are gathering, grouping, I think it is in their democratic right and space as parliamentarians to organize caucus meetings. But I think in the spirit of the building bridges, it would be unfortunate for people who are actually in Mombasa on Saturday and were there singing Baba, 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 we are with you in this, and that nobody really can be able to stop reggae. Now to regroup back in Naivasha and begin a conversation around what we are seeing, which is, as headliners are calling it,
a revolt.
A revolt, or the beginning of the end. There is not going to be an end unless God says it is an end. There is not going to be an end unless the people who determine presidential transitions in this country actually choose that that is the end, and there is not going to be an end until the people of Kenya who put this team in office and who are actually looking forward to the leadership of His Excellency the President to provide services to the citizens, determine that that is really that is the end. So in my view, I want to appeal to these 100 plus
173
members who are there, who are thinking that they probably have what it takes to be able to present divisions. The president has said he doesn't have to be a president forever. He doesn't have to be a prime minister. And he has consistently said this, including on Sunday, when he said, Ni Mungu ndio huamua. And that's exactly what we are saying. So whether you regroup, whether you want to say everything that you want to say, the BBI has challenges, including how the rallies are being organized, and you and I and several others have said, let's give time to the steering committee to present as a time frame, to give us a trajectory and a manner in which all these meetings are going to take place. But the bottom line is that the BBI has given us an opportunity as a people to come forward and now have a conversation around the future of this country. What is this kind of Kenya that you want to leave for our children and our children's children? And this kind of groupings, which in my view, and having read and listened to them speak, I don't think it is in good faith, because you can't be talking about a BBI which is supposed to be inclusive, A BBI which is supposed to unite people, a BBI for which you actually, as a leader who is representing people that have voted for you, is supposed to be speaking on their behalf. You cannot, therefore, purport to say that the other meetings that are being planned are not speaking for the people. Get into that train and begin to speak to the driver of that bus.
Absolutely.
How you think
perhaps we should use this route,
but not to want to spend time and resources to organize parallel meetings. Otherwise, the Swahili saying that goes, fali wawili wakipigana ni nyasi ndio umia, would be very, very true about what we are seeing currently.
And I mean, they say they're going for, I don't know how this would work to remove the politics from it, because if they group themselves in this particular way, already they're associated with the deputy president, whether they like it or not, or whether it's going to, the language they use at that rally, the fact that they have grouped themselves like that would already be associated with one elite politician. So don't you feel that it's going to be counterproductive in trying to remove that sense of allegiance to a particular political leader?
I agree with you, and I also agree with the Secretary General of Jubilee, because the parliamentary group is chaired by the party leader, and for Jubilee it is His Excellency the President. So whether you have allegiance or not, and you see, it really goes down to how we also run our political parties, because the moment you begin to pay allegiance to somebody else who is not probably affiliated or for whose ideology you have distanced yourself, then the most honorable thing, as per your title, Honorable X, Y, and Z, is to resign from that seat, and then you have all the leeway, because otherwise, if it is Jubilee members who are saying that they are talking for Jubilee, the party leadership, like a Secretary General, cannot be making statements and saying, yeah, they are free to group, but unfortunately, as a party, we are not buying into all that. So I think allegiances are part of political development. Allegiances are part of even our families. We have children, you know, brothers and sisters who are much more loved by mothers and fathers, and who also feel like I can only listen to sister so-and-so and brother so-and-so says whatever it is that is being discussed on the table. But in terms of the context for Kenya that we are addressing today, which is within the BBI, and you see the BBI, whether you're paying allegiance to His Excellency the President or the Deputy President, for where Kenya is headed to right now, there would be no need for those kind of divisions. So probably the biggest appeal would be to the Deputy President and his team, because including the President, to probably have a discussion and sit and rein in on their party members and especially those elected leaders, but much more fundamentally that the two of them can begin to provide that leadership. But you see, the President has been very clear around where he wants this country to go to. And I think that what we've seen for the last 2 years plus is probably the Deputy President presenting what I would respectfully call negative energy. Because you have a scenario where the President is trying to pull the country forward, and you have this team of people who are saying that they are speaking for you. It should be fair for you to just tell them, can you stop this thing and let's follow.
One would argue that it's the allies that are bringing on the said negative energy, because a lot of the times you hear these sentiments purported to be the Deputy President, they're coming from people that are said to be allies, and rarely from him directly. And I wonder how that can be dealt with so that it obviously does not become a distraction. But obviously, I would be curious to see how this would play out, the main rallies and then the rallies associated with Team Tanga Tanga. I mean, wouldn't it cause confusion?
Definitely. And I was in a meeting yesterday where people were saying, because we were asked to describe the state of the nation, and people are saying confusion. And that confusion is coming in because of this particular confusion that we are also seeing in the leadership. If the allies think that they are speaking for the Deputy President, then it would really be incumbent upon him to again rein in on his people and tell them, ladies and gentlemen, we have a pathway with His Excellency the President, and this is where we want to move to. And you see, this is very sad, because I have been to meetings, at least one in last week, which I had to walk out because the context of the nation is BBI. And so somebody decides to say we cannot be talking about BBI because even at the top there, the people are confused, which I agree with. But then it gives us an opportunity to be the people to be speaking sanity. Because even if you look at all these meetings that are taking place, the common citizen's voice is not being heard. We are being told a meeting took place on Friday and 3,000 people came and generated a memorandum. But you can imagine when you want to convene 3,000 people in a hall to talk about 9 agenda issues in half a day, it is not practically possible. But politically speaking, you can do it because you have the microphone and you want to tell them what you think they want to hear. But for 3,000 people to within half a day to tell you what they think about electoral injustice in this country, to tell you about what they think about devolution and several other remaining 7 agenda items is not practically possible. So what then that means is that it gives us an opportunity to engage and begin a conversation around how do we then work together with the political class to make a difference in this country.
And I'd like to know how you'd feel, how would you rather get those views gathered? Because still we want them to come from the Wananchi, but then 3,000 also is a bit of a funny way of going about it. So how would you represent those groups effectively? And then at the same time, we heard from the rally on Saturday, a lot of the women, some of the women in the crowd were saying, we don't know what's in this document. So much for the 3,000.
You're asking me a very easy question, which I like. And thanks for that.
Just hold the thought. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll have that answer from Kevin Osido. You are watching Morning Express.